Welcome. I would like to invite you to listen today a podcast instead of practice yoga, which we definitely will be coming back next week. But today I would like you to listen about 8 limbs of yoga, a little bit of philosophy of yoga. And what does that mean? So according to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and if you're not familiar with the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, this is like a collection of 196 aphorisms, each one concerning an aspect of the path to enlightenment through yoga. So acclaimed as one of the most profound and enlightening studies of human nature and the search for spiritual liberation, the sutras were compiled over 2,000 years ago. So according to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, there is a 8-fold path leading to liberation known as the Ashtanga yoga system, or 8 limbs of yoga. The word Ashta means 8 and Anga means limb. But how does one go about attaining this freedom through yoga? Does it come at the cost of expensive pair of yoga pants? Can you reach it by signing up to detox retreat or finally touching your toes? Well, probably not. So let me just briefly try to explain what does yoga mean. The word yoga means to connect, unite, or yoke. The thing we look to connect to is the true self, also known as the divine essence, maybe other words, ultimate self, or Atman. You might also think of this as the soul. If that way of thinking doesn't resonate with you maybe, then consider that the word yoga can also mean separation of disentanglement. The thing we are disentangling from is whatever stops us from feeling free, as the ultimate goal of any yoga practice is to attain moksha, meaning liberation or freedom. So what exactly are the 8 limbs of yoga? So the first limb is Yama. Yama meaning restraints, moral disciplines or moral vows. The second is Niyama, positive duties or observances. The third, Asana, postures, pose, the physical practice we know. The fourth one is Pranayama, breathing technique. Fifth, Pratyahara, sense withdrawal. Sixth, Dharana, focus concentration. Then 7, we have Dhyana, meditative absorption. And 8, Samadhi, which is like a bliss or enlightenment. So let me try to briefly explain look at it a little bit closer on those 8 limbs. Okay, so the first limb, Yama, refers to vows, disciplines or practices that are primarily concerned with the world around us and our interaction with the world. While the practice of yoga can increase physical strength and flexibility and aid in calming the mind, what's the point if we are still rigid, weak, we're stressed out in day-to-day life? And for the first limb, there are 5 yamas. There is ahimsa, meaning non-violence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, right use of energy, and the last one, aparigraha, non-greed or non-hoarding. Yoga is a practice of transforming and benefiting every aspect of life, not just the 60 minutes spent on a mat. the time when you practice, if we can learn to be kind, truthful, and use our energy in worthwhile way, we will not only benefit ourselves with our practice, but everything and everywhere around us. So in Iyengar's translation of the sutras, light on the Yoga Sutras, which I highly recommend to read, by the way, if you want to get deeper into philosophy, he explains the yamas are unconditioned by time, class, and place, meaning no matter who we are, where we come from, or how much yoga we practiced, we can all aim to instill the yamas within us. The second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, niyama, usually refers to internal duties. So that prefix ni that stands before word yama is a Sanskrit verb which means inward or within. And there are 5 niyamas as well. So that was 5 yamas and then 5 niyamas. There is a saucha, meaning cleanness, santosha, contentment. There's a tapas, discipline or burning desire, or conversely, burning of desire. There's a svadhyaya, self-study or self-reflection and study of spiritual text. And there is also Ishvara Pranidaha, surrender to a higher power. Niyamas are traditionally practiced by those who wish to travel further along the yogic path and are intended to build character. The niyamas closely relate to the koshas, our sheets, our layers, leading from the physical body to the essence within. And as you will notice, when we work with the niyamas from saucha to the last one, we are guided from the grossest aspects of ourselves to the truth within. The physical aspect of yoga is the 3rd step on the path to freedom. And if I'm being honest, the word asana here doesn't actually refer to ability to perform headstand or an aesthetically impressive backbend. It just simply means seat. Specifically, the seat you would take for the practice of meditation. The only alignment instruction Patanjali gives for this asana is Shrira Sukham Asanam. The posture should be steady and comfortable. While traditional texts like the Hatha Yoga Pradipika list many postures such as Padmasana, which is known as a lotus pose, or Virasana, like a hero pose, suitable for meditation, this text also tells us that the most important posture is in fact Shira Sukhasana, meaning a posture the practitioner can hold comfortably and motionlessness. The idea is to be able to sit in comfort so we are not pulled by aches or pains or restlessness due to being uncomfortable. Perhaps this is something to consider in your next yoga class or your next yoga practice if you always tend to choose the advanced posture offered rather than the one your body is able to attain. The 4th limb is pranayama. The word prana refers to energy or life source. It is often described the very essence that keeps us alive, as well as the energy in the universe around us. Prana also often describes the breath, and by working with the way we breathe, we affect the mind in a very real way. Now, we can interpret pranayama in a couple of ways. Pranayama can mean breath control of or breath restraint, or pranamaya a yama, which would translate as freedom of breath, breath expansion, or breath liberation. The physical act of working with different breathing techniques alters the mind in a myriad of ways. We can choose calming practice like Chandra Badana, moon-piercing breath, for example, or more stimulating techniques such as Kapalabhati, shining skull cleansing breath. Each way of breathing will change our state of being, but is up to us as to whether we perceive this as controlling the way we feel or freeing ourselves from the habitual way of mind may usually be. The fifth limb is Pratyahara, sense withdrawal. Pratya means to withdraw, draw in or draw back, and the second part, ahara, refers to anything we take in by ourselves, such as the various signs, sounds, and smell or senses take it continuously. When sitting for a formal meditation practice, this is likely to be the first thing we do when we think we are meditating. We focus on drawing in. The practice of drawing inwards may include focusing on the way we are breathing, so the limb would relate directly to the practice of pranayama too. The phrase sense withdrawal conjures up images of being able to switch our senses off through concentration, which is why this aspect of practice is often misunderstood. Instead of actually losing the ability to hear and smell, to see and feel, the practice of Pratyahara changes our state of mind so that we become so absorbed in what it is we are focusing on that the things outside of ourselves no longer bother us, and we are able to meditate without becoming easily distracted. Experienced practitioners may be able to translate Pratyahara into everyday life, being so concentrated and present to the moment at hand that things like sensations and sounds don't easily distract the mind. The sixth limb is Dharana, means focus concentration. That means holding or maintaining, and Ana means other or something else. So closely linked to the previous two limbs, Dharana and Pratyahara are essential parts of the same aspect. In order to focus on something, we must withdraw our senses so that all attention is on that point of concentration. In order to draw our senses in, we must focus on concentrate intently. Tratak, meaning candle gazing or visualization, and focusing on the breath are all practices of Dharana. And it's this stage many of us get to when we think we are meditating. The seventh limb is meditative absorption, Dhyana. When we become completely absorbed in the focus of our meditation, and this is when we are really meditating. All the things we may learn in class are merely techniques in order to help us settle, focus, and concentrate. The actual practice of meditation is definitely not something we can actively do. Rather, it describes the spontaneous action of something that happens as a result of everything else. Many of us know the word Samadhi as meaning bliss or enlightenment, and this is the final step of the journey of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. After we've reorganized our relationships with the outside world and our own inner world, we come to the final of bliss. And when we look at the word samadhi, though, we find out that enlightenment or realization does not refer to floating away on a cloud in a state of happiness and ecstasy. No, it doesn't look like that way. Breaking the world in half, we see that this final stage is made up of two words, sama meaning same or equal, and di meaning to see. There's a reason it's called realization. It's because reaching samadhi is not about escapism, floating away or being abundantly joyful. It's about realizing the very life that lies in front of us. The ability to see equally and without disturbance from the mind, without our experience being conditioned by likes, dislike, or habits, without a need to judge or become attached to any particular aspect, that is the bliss. There is just one catch though. Samadhi isn't a permanent state. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras importantly tell us that unless we are completely ready without impressions, such attachment, aversion, desires, and habits, and with a completely pure mind, we will not be able to maintain the state of samadhi for long. Once the mind is pure and we truly do experience a state of samadhi, we can keep hold of. We attain moksha, also known as mukti, meaning a permanent state of being liberated, released, and free. I hope you enjoyed that brief explanation of 8 limbs of yoga. Now you are more familiar with what does it mean of 8 limbs. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you soon. Namaste.